right, hello. How's everybody doing? You guys are pumped? Great, that's awesome. Oh, cheers to you, loves you. Yeah, so I'm so excited because, it's World Pride this year, and, it's going to be so huge, such a big event, and I have a lot of things to be proud for, like, I'm proud to live in a great country where I could roam free and do whatever I want, well, almost, and I'm proud that I could, grow a beard in under 5 minutes, and I'm also proud that I could pull off stripes, hopefully. I don't know if you think that, but whatever. No, that's nice, thank you. And I'm also very proud of the friendships that I hold near and dear to my heart because I treat my friends like family and I love them very much. And last year I went to New York with one of my best friends of 5 or 6 years, and she's we met at this improv comedy workshop, and she's so fun and so wise and hilarious, and she was the first person that she came out to me. She came out to me, and I was the first person, and I was so honored, and it was so cool, and I was so excited to be going to New York and celebrate Pride in New York for a week and a half. It was gonna be so much fun. And a couple days beforehand, we went to a cottage with a bunch of friends, and it was the best time because we swam a lot, and I swam a lot too, and I ate a lot, and I smoked so many doobies. I was so high that weekend, the highest I've ever been. I was on a perma high. It was as if Maleficent put me under a spell, and I was just floating, and I was yes, I will be a cloud, yes. And it was just so much fun, and I was so excited to go to New York with one of my besties. It was so excited. So, as we got on the plane and we flew Porter and we got down and I know, I shouldn't, yeah, I know, we're so expensive. But it was her idea, so I was okay, we'll do it, that's great, let's do it. And so we go, and we get off the plane and we go to New York, and we're both so excited to the point where when we were walking down Times Square and we're I wanna be a part of it, New York, New York, so geeky, it's embarrassing. And we were supposed to stay in a hostel in Coney Island, which I was so excited about because I was oh my god, we're gonna go on the rides, it's gonna be great, I'm gonna have cotton candy every day. But that didn't happen. We ended up staying with one of her friends that she met in New York a year ago when she stayed there for a few months. And so we went to his place, and it was the size of a box of chocolates. It was so small, and as soon as I entered the apartment, first it was 5 flights of stairs, and I had to carry luggage, 5 flights of stairs. And as soon as I walked into his apartment, it was one narrow hallway, a kitchen, so dark, and then we just go into his room. But it was it reeked of old socks. It was disgusting. And so we were just oh, we're gonna just make the best of it because we're in New York, so it's gonna be great. And whenever I hung out with her and her New York friend, I always felt I was the third wheel. And they would always be talking and catching up, and I would always be on the sidelines looking in. And it was kind of frustrating because I kind of felt I was being left out or being excluded. And this New York friend was a bit of an asshole. I didn't want to say it, but he was so arrogant. And we met his boyfriend once, and he was the nicest person ever. He would always ask me how are you, how is everything, and I'm I want to be leave this asshole and come with me back to Canada, but I didn't. And because I think I have dignity, I try to have dignity, and but so he since he was an arrogant asshole, he brought out the worst in my best friend, and she turned out to be this arrogant, insensitive asshole too. And as we were throughout the days, we would just all hang out in a bunch, and I was still very happy because I was looking up at all the buildings, but they were just looking at me I was psycho. But I just didn't care because I was happy. I was happy being in New York, happy being in a different city. And to the point where, like, you know, like, if they were, like, the assholes together, they would, like, get drunk and get smashed and, you know, like, throw up everywhere. And I would just, like, semi-get smashed, i.e., have 2 glasses of wine and fall asleep and, you know, and then not care. But, like, they were just, you know, always dead tired all the time because they just smoked and had drinks all the time, which, you know what, it's fine. You could do that too, but, like, it affected them a lot more than they affected me. And I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to have fun with my friend and such and everything, but every time we would wake up in the morning, she would be hungover, and she'd be like, go to New York by yourself. Walk the streets alone. Just go walk the streets alone. Discover New York by yourself. Which I did. I would walk the streets of New York all by myself, and the majority of the trip was me walking the streets of New York all by myself. And it was kind of fun to do that, but at the same time, so scary because, I don't know if you know, but if you've been to New York before, but like, the air in New York, there's like a lot of anxious energy in the air. I don't know if you know that, but like, and walking in New York and feeling that like anxious energy, I would just be like walking down the street and be like, oh, everything is great. And then all of a sudden this energy would hit and be like, I need to run 10 blocks because like, I would just like feel that out of nowhere. And it was crazy. And also like, I would just like have to walk everywhere and such. And also I developed like red welts on my body. And I thought for a second like they were just like mosquitoes or hives. And my best friend said, oh, they're just mosquitoes or hives. Don't worry about it. I have them too. And we slept in the same bed. And yeah. And the dots would be like in a line. And I'd be like, I have bed bugs. This is bed bugs. Holy shit, I'm sleeping in a bed full of bed bugs. But I just was like, oh, there's nothing I can do about it now. I just have to like itch and keep on going. And as I like was like, you know, walking the streets in New York, I would like, there was this one instance where I like went to 30 Rockefeller Center and had lunch all by myself, and I had this cute waiter hit on me, which never happens here in Toronto, but it happened in New York. And he was like, he had like dark rimmed glasses, black rimmed glasses, fluffy hair, about my height. He was basically like me, which was crazy, but he was like way more orange. And as I was like sitting down and like eating, he would like come over to me and be like, so you're visiting, that's great. And we would like talk and such and everything. And when my bill came, he gave me like a big discount on my food. And I was this close to like putting my number on the check, but in the back of my mind, I was too chicken shit because I had all these red welts on my body. So if we were to have like personal quality time / intimate relations, we would be like all doing stuff, and I'd be like, oh, look at my body, it's lick this, lick all of this red welts and such, and you'd be like, no thank you. So I didn't want that to happen, so I stopped that. So I like, and also because like my best friend, she was going through a lot because the cafe that she worked at back in Toronto, her manager was giving her a lot of shit, and also one of the cooks there contracted syphilis and would make food without gloves. So yeah, she had to deal with that, and it was nuts. So I tried to cheer her up. So I was like, let's go to a Broadway show, because I would love to go see a Broadway show. I think it'd be fun. And I found out that Bette Midler was doing a one-woman show on Broadway during that time. And what I'm about to say next is the most cliched thing ever, but I fucking love Bette Midler so much. So brassy and funny and sassy. I adore her, and she such range from like The Rose to Hocus Pocus, and just so great. And also First Wives Club is like one of my all-time favorite movies ever. Like that, and like that last scene when Goldie Hawn and Bette Midler and Diane Keaton are all in like coats and they're like, "You don't own me," and like just walking down the street. That scene gives me strength today, still. So thank you. So it was a big deal. It was a big deal. I wanted to see Bette Midler so badly. So she was like, "Yes, let's go see Bette Midler." So I went to Times Square, went to the theater. And I went to the box office and I was like, hey, can I purchase tickets for Bette Midler? And the clerk there, she had like white, like thick rimmed glasses, and like she had like a bit of a bouffant and like a pencil like stuck in it. And she had like a very raspy voice. And she's like, no, we're all sold out. And I was like, she's like, are we there's no possibility I can get a ticket. She's like, you have to come 2 hours before the box office opens. Early in the morning. We open at 10, so come here for 8. And I'm like, but is there a possibility I could get one now, maybe? And she's like, look, I'm gonna give it to you straight. It's Bette Midler. And it's our last weekend of shows. You have to come in the morning. And I'm like, okay, fine. And in my mind, I was like, this is like just going down and having her tell me that in that voice was worth it all. So I woke up the next morning, and it was like 6:15 in a.m. I went on the subway, and I got there at 7 a.m. and there was like 3 people there. I was like the 4th person in the line. I waited for 3 hours in order for the box office to open. It opened. I got tickets. And yay! And the rush tickets were like $35, but the box office clerk asked me if I can upgrade. You can upgrade to like box seats, and I was like, yes. And without thinking that they were a little bit more pricey, / like $140 each, which is not that bad like for box seats, because box seats are usually like $1 million. So like I was like, this is great. I don't think she would mind. She doesn't have to pay me back. This is just like a little like treat. So I tell her I got the tickets and they were a little bit pricey, and she's like, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. And so I text her to meet her somewhere later downtown New York, and as I'm texting her, she starts to get a little sassy in the text, because I don't know where I'm going. I don't know New York as well as she does, and the subway system there is like, it's like a mosaic. It's like so huge, and like compared to like the Toronto subway where it's like like a kid's drawing. It's like super easy, but like there it's like Van Gogh. And so I get lost and I can't find her, and I'm texting her. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. She's like, you get off at Avenue B and go down this street down to 8th Avenue, and I'm like, okay, I'm at 8th Avenue, I don't know where you are. She's like, you go down 8th Avenue, and she was like screaming in like full like caps, like being like, Jesus, why don't you know like the directions yet? Like why don't you know your way around New York yet? And I'm like, I don't know, it's a big city, you know this, you're supposed to like help me out a little bit, we're supposed to be in this together. So we meet up, and she gives me a bottle of water, and she takes out a map, and she's like, I'm gonna teach you how to navigate New York, the subway system of New York. And she's talking to me like so condescendingly, as if I'm like a 5-year-old, and like I don't know how to read maps. And she's like, and I'm like, I don't know the subway system. And she's like, you've been here for a week and you don't know the subway system of New York City? And I'm like, no, because it's Van Gogh. It's not like the Toronto subway system. And she was like, oh, and I'm also really mad at you that you got us more expensive tickets to Bette Midler. I can't pay it back. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't have to pay me back at all. This is just a little present from me. And she's like, yeah, but you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. Like, you shouldn't. And in my mind, I'm just like, it's Bette fucking Midler. This is not cheap meat you're looking at, all right? This is Bette Midler. We're not going to see Cinderella starring Carly Rae Jepsen and Fran Drescher. This is Bette Midler. And, but I say that all in my head because I have dignity. And I just let it slide. And I just wanted to thank you. She didn't really say thank you, and I just wanted to thank you. So I decided to just go on our merry way because we were gonna go to the Brooklyn Bridge. So we get on the subway, and as we're on the subway, she's like, you better pay attention because I'm gonna test you on our way back, how to get back. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. Like, do not talk to me that way. And as we get off one train, and we have to go on the C train in order to get to the Brooklyn Bridge, but you can also get on the A train. So we get on the C train, and it's super hot, there's no air conditioning. So she's like, I'm hot, let's get out. So we get out, and as we're getting out, the A train across the way leaves, and she flips out. She's like, why didn't you notice that there was an A train across the way? And I'm like, because we were on the C train. We were going to get on the C train. She's like, you should have been paying attention. And I'm like, we were on the train. I didn't have to pay attention anymore because we were on the C train. And she's like, you should have been paying attention. You should have been paying attention. And I'm like, whoa, what is wrong with you? And she's like, I hate being a leader. I hate being a leader. I don't want to lead. And I'm like, whoa. And then she's like silent and like starts like mopes around and like sits like hard on a bench, and she's silent. And we're both silent, and I was this close to being like, give me back that Bette Midler ticket, because you're not going, bitch. But I didn't, because I have dignity, once again. So we get on the A train, it's very air conditioned, and as we were going on our way to the Brooklyn Bridge, she's like, I don't want to lose our friendship. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, I think we should like go into therapy together. And I'm like, huh? What's happening? What's happening? And we continue this conversation, and the subway is so loud, I can't really hear what she was saying, and I kind of was tuning out a little bit because it was so hot. I couldn't give a damn. So we get up, and then we are outside, and she's like, there's something I need to tell you. I feel like we haven't been connecting lately as friends. It's because you're too positive all the time. And I'm like, huh? What? She's like, yeah, I can't be negative with you because you're always giving me positive feedback back. And I'm like, okay, I'm not understanding. I am not getting it. And she's like, well, it's also because maybe I'm a bit jealous of you / I resent you. And I'm like, for what? And she's like, oh, it's because, you get along with your mother so well and she supports you, and my parents don't really support me. And I felt so bad, and I was like, I felt helpless at the same time because I didn't know what to say, I didn't know what to do, and I just was like, I can be your mother and father or whatever. Like we could be as one. Like I could support you. And she's like, no, it's just because I resent you. Wait, and then she like stops herself. She's just like, resent is not the proper word, but she kept on saying resentment over and over and over again, and it just stuck out in my mind. And she's like, I wanted to tell you this for over a year that I resented you. And I was like, whoa, why now? Why now? And I decided to be very sympathetic because I think, we all need to give out a little bit of sympathy here and there and such, and just help out a brother and a sister. So I was like, I'm sorry, we'll work through this, and let's just have the best time in New York. But in my mind, I was just like, I just want to walk New York by myself. But I decided to stick this through. We went to the Brooklyn Bridge. We saw Bette Midler, and she like started scratching in the middle of Bette Midler, and I wanted to like slap her on her arm and be like, the divine Miss M is talking, but I didn't because that would have disturbed the performance. And but after the performance, it was like amazing because Bette Midler was fantastic, and she was like sassy and brassy and all of that. And I gave her kisses on her, like air kisses. I blew her air kisses as she was taking a bow. She didn't see, but I made sure that I was giving air kisses. And then on our way back, she was being very mopey again and giving me attitude for no reason. And I was like, I'm just gonna let this slide. So we go to Pride the next day, and it rains and it pours. And I have my umbrella out, and we're shielding each other. And the New York friend is with us. And she's in a bad mood again. And as we were walking to the Pride celebrations, San's New York friend, because he was going to meet up with us after, she was like, we're not trying to exclude you. Don't worry. And I'm like, okay, all right. And as the Pride celebration started, it was raining and pouring, but I didn't care because it was so much fun. It was so great. And she kept on saying to her New York friend, I'm so glad I'm spending Pride with you. And she never said that to me at all. And I was just like, I'm just gonna let that slide. So after the parade was done, she was like mopey and such and everything. And I was like, do you want to like go somewhere and out of the, like be away from this crowd? And she's like, no, I can take care of myself. I'm gonna go home. You go walk the streets of New York by yourself. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't want to go into the crowd of New York Pride because I just wasn't feeling it at the moment. I was kind of feeling a little down. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go see a movie. So I go to the IFC Center and I go and see Frances Ha. Has anybody seen Frances Ha? Yeah. Such a great movie. It's so great. And in the movie, the lead character, Frances, is best friends with Sophie, and throughout the duration of the movie, they start to lose their friendship. And it became such a meta moment for me because as they were losing their friendship, I was losing my friendship. And I was like, that's happening in New York. This is happening in New York. What? Twilight Zone. And I decided to just take it as it is. And on our way home, we took porter, very expensive porter, yes. And as we were flying, she's like, I'm sorry that, I didn't mean to offend you in any way. I'm sorry that, I lashed out at you. And I'm like, thank you. And she was like, I hope we could still be friends after this. And I'm like, yeah, I hope so too. And as we landed in Toronto, P.S., I was so happy to be back in Toronto. I wanted to kiss the ground. I never thought I would say that because, Toronto, being in Toronto, you just want to move elsewhere. But I love Toronto. Toronto was great, and I was so happy to be here, to be back. And we parted ways, and as soon as I got home, I didn't even, enter my apartment. I went down to the laundry, took out all the clothes in my suitcase, threw out my luggage, went upstairs, took off all my clothes, put on a robe, put that into the wash, doused my apartment in cinnamon spray that I bought at Bed Bath & Beyond back in New York, to the point that I was lightheaded so no bed bugs would come and enter my apartment, and they did it, thank God. And that taught me a lesson. That trip taught me a lesson in general, because me and her, we tried to communicate afterwards, and it's safe to say that we're no longer friends at this point. And that's okay, because I still wish her all the best. I still think the world of her. And it's so weird because sometimes in life, people come into your life for a reason, and they teach you a lesson. Sometimes you think, once you have best friends with you, and you think this person's gonna be your best friend for life, and they're not, and when they go away, it could be very traumatizing. But then I've learned that that's a lesson. And they came into your life for a reason, to teach you a lesson. And sometimes, if people are treating you badly, whether that be a friend or a lover, and it's like they're pulling up a mirror to your self-worth, and you can either and they're testing you, and they're testing your self-worth, and you can either accept that self-worth as it is, or you could walk away and rise above it, because as Rihanna once said, we're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. And I am a diamond, and we're all diamonds, all of us. And that's what I've learned, and that's a hope you can take away, because I'm just like horrible people, and just like bed bugs, they're horrible people and bed bugs are exactly the same, because they could sometimes enter your life, cause you pain, and hopefully they'll never return, which happened to me. And I'm still walking down the streets of Toronto humming You Don't Own Me with Goldie and Diane and Bet to my side, and I am full of strength. Thank you. I'm Marco Bernardi. You guys have been awesome. Let's bring back